Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. I hope everybody has had a wonderful week and is looking forward to a fantastic weekend. Hi Lewis, hi Uskar, London Travel, Rabina, nice to see many students in the class. Welcome Bakrat and our other members. In this class, everyone, we are looking at IELTS listening, part 3 and part 4, listening like a pro 2. That's because we did part 1 and part 2 for this listening section yesterday. If you missed that class, not a big deal. Each part is unique. You can always go back and check out yesterday's class later. It is up on the channel. As usual, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. For Academic IELTS, check us out there. We help thousands of students every day improve their English and their communication. For General IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials, practice exams, audio materials, all original. We've been in the business for over 10 years now, which is quite exciting, and we are world leaders when it comes to IELTS preparation. This is our General IELTS website here with the green background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. We are an official British Council IELTS registration center for Saudi Arabia, and we have trained British Council certified agents. This is our academic website here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join us there. All right, everyone. So if you like to use your mobile, then definitely download Academic IELTS Help and link it to aehelp.com for academic, and General IELTS Help for general, obviously link it to gieltshelp.com. All right. Any questions? Reach out. Contact me, Adrian at aehelp.com. I will happily answer any questions that you might have. So right now we are going to do listening, part 3 and part 4 from our third exam. Tomorrow, members, we have a question and answer session for you. And at the same time as right now, we will have speaking part 3 tomorrow. So make sure to join us for that. Hi, Rashika. Welcome. Gian Titan, our members, fantastic to see you. Okay, everyone. So anybody remember who was here yesterday what the topic of part 3 listening is going to be? Remember I used the instruction time to take a look. This was a strategy that I showed you yesterday, using the instruction time to look at the topic of part 3, part 4, part 2, because it helps to get your brain going on it. Let's see who actually remembers what part 3 is going to be about. Hi, Eugene. Thanks for those emojis. Kashirsha says something about Egypt. Sundar Singh says university. No, we did university yesterday. The university campus tour, that was part 2. Sangar Khalid says, I think it was something about taxes. And then the little fixing tool, the wrench, says Egyptians and Isaac Newton. I don't know how you got a little wrench for your name, but that's great. Okay. Yeah, part 4 was Isaac Newton. So here I gave you a little bit of a quick glimpse. But yeah, part 3, something at the top said Egypt and taxes. And then part 4 said Newton. So yeah, good. Okay, you remembered. That's great. So hopefully your brain is going a bit on that. All right, so now we are going to get into the listening. Students, I'm going to play the audio through my headset and a really nice little Bose speaker, the Revolut Plus Plus or Revolution Plus Plus. Anyway, so I do have a good speaker, a good microphone, but of course it's not the same as listening to an MP3 off of our website or your computer. So make sure to turn up the volume and don't put your answers in the chat, okay? So keep your answers separate, be fair to everybody else who is listening and answering. We will go through the answers together at the end. Okay, everyone, here we go. So I'm just going to hop over to our website here, log into my student account at the top. In my student account, I've got lots and lots of materials, computer-based exams, lesson videos, and I have these audio CDs. In the audio CDs, I'm going to check out, because this is exam 3, CD 3, listening section 3. And here we go, everyone. So get ready, listen, answer, and put the answer into a separate sheet of paper. We'll go through them at the end together. All right, everyone, let's do this.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening section 3. You will hear a public forum discussion between the moderator and 2 contributors, Dr. Philip McPhee and Dr. Ron Tatum, both political scientists at the local university, talking about the nature of taxes in society. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. McPhee and Dr. Tatum for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this evening with us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. McPhee, could you give us a little bit of the history of taxation?
Certainly. Taxes have been around almost as long as civilization itself. There are records of taxes being collected by Egyptian pharaohs approximately 5,000 years ago. It was customary to give 20% of your production to the pharaoh, and those who evaded taxes were severely punished.
Dr. Tatum, what are the reasons for taxes?
Well, there are essentially 3 major reasons for taxes. The first and most obvious reason is revenue. Governments need money, and taxes fulfill this need. The government then spends this tax revenue on investments that are good for society, such as healthcare, schools and roads. Funding the army would fall under this category as well. The second reason for taxation is for the redistribution of wealth. In simpler terms, this means taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. Many societies do this out of a belief that it is the responsibility of the government to look after the poor people in society. I'll let Dr. McPhee talk about the final reason for taxation, called repricing.
Thank you, Dr. Tatum. Yes, the third main reason for taxation is called repricing, and by this we mean changing the price of a product to a different, generally higher price. This may sound quite strange, but if you bear with me, you'll see that it makes perfect sense. In general, products are allowed to be priced in a free market. That is to say, whoever can provide goods for the lowest price is the most successful. However, there are certain types of goods that we don't allow to go to the free market. In many countries, these are goods like tobacco and alcohol. These goods are subject to a repricing tax, which is used to discourage people from using the product. Also, these repricing taxes help offset the future medical costs associated with the people who use tobacco and alcohol excessively.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Very well. Do you favour higher or lower taxes?
I am a strong proponent of higher taxes. The reason for this is simply that it is easier to make money when you already have money. This gives a massive advantage to those people who may have inherited money or come from rich families, because money is so much easier to gain for these people if used wisely. Taxing them seems only fair and for the greater good. This compensates the poorer sections of society who really have little or no hope to gain financial success.
I understand Dr. Tatum's position, But one has to be wary of the fact that if taxes are too high for businesses, then those businesses will leave the country in favour of countries with lower taxes. Of course, it would be nice if we could legislate a worldwide tax structure, but this is simply not attainable. And
Those less fortunate and being able to stay competitive in the market. Because if we fail to be competitive, then tax revenue will dry up, resulting in no money at all for the lower economic classes. So this is an extremely difficult balancing act.
Which leads to my next question. What is the future of taxation?
I believe you will see higher taxes in 50 years than there are today, just as we have higher taxes today than 50 years ago. We will need even more money for projects like high-speed transit, new roads, new technologies. Also, with an ageing population, medical costs could soar in the near future, resulting in higher taxes to support this healthcare system.
I think the future will be a lot like the present, walking the tightrope as Dr. Tatum mentioned. Where that takes us, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say higher taxes for the reasons Dr. Tatum outlined. However, another important variable to consider is whether free markets can really be allowed.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And take that half minute to check your answers, students. I'm just going to stop our audio on the website here. By the way, you can use our websites on your phone as well. They're completely responsive, as you can use them almost as well as the app. All right. So let's go through these questions together as a group now. So clearly this was about taxes. And that's why it's good when you're checking out the topic to look at the first couple questions. Then you see that the word taxes kind of repeats again and again. And that's what we're looking for here. Okay, everyone. So the first one, write no more than 2 words and or a number for each answer. So if an Egyptian's income was 10,000, how much would be given to the pharaoh? What is the best answer for this question? Honey says the best answer is 2,000. Dana agrees. Yeah, it's 2,000. Okay, 20% is okay, but they might not give you a correct answer for that because they give you a specific number here. So if the answer is 20%, they would just ask you how much of an Egyptian's income is given to the pharaoh. You don't need the number 10,000, but they give you a specific number, 10,000. So it's a little bit of a thinking question. Be careful about these, especially in part 3 and part 4. Carolina, I saw your comment. That's great. Yeah, you're mediating away. That's fantastic. Okay, so just a quick note here, everyone, about this question. Okay, you really have to pay attention to the question in part 3 and part 4. So pay very careful attention to every word and number in the questions in part 3 and part 4. You have to give the best answer, and this means that you must use the information that you hear, such as simple math. Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, so 21, they might not accept 20%. They're looking specifically for 2,000 because they gave you 10,000 and 20% of 10,000 is 2,000. Okay, so 2,000 is a more accurate answer. They would accurately give 2,000 to the pharaoh. Okay, is that clear, everyone? So be really careful. All right. Okay, so the first reason mentioned for taxes is what? They say there are basically 3 reasons for tax. What's the first reason for tax? Sandeep Bilgai just explained that it's not 20% for the first one because they give you the number 10,000. So they're looking for the specific number of not how many percent, but how much of 10,000 is given to the pharaoh. Okay, I hope that's clear for everyone. It's not what percent of their income is given to the pharaoh, or how many percent are given to the pharaoh, but it's how much if it's 10,000. If an Egyptian's income is 10,000, how much? It's 2,000. Specific. You have to be specific. Okay. So the first reason is revenue. Yeah. Absolutely. So revenue, basically income, right? Okay. You can use all capital letters. Using small letters is faster. It's better for accurate spelling, so careful. The first reason mentioned for taxes is revenue. And revenue pays for roads, for schools. What other part of society does revenue tax pay for that is emphasized? This is my first bonus question. Let's see how many people are actively listening. So bonus question number 1, who gets my first super thumbs up of the day? What else does revenue tax pay for other than schools, hospitals, and roads? Anybody catch that? The speaker says, and this would also fall under this kind of tax revenue. What was it? Nothing about wealth here for this one. What else is funded by revenue? Not business. Business, Surya, is definitely not. Rashika, yeah, very good. The army, okay, would be my bonus, okay? So the army. Mohammed Azat, very good. Army, okay? So that's my bonus question. Mohammed, I think you're the first one to get it wrong because I think somebody put it. Rashika, did you mean for 22 here? Army, yeah? Okay. Yeah, so the army is also paid by revenue tax. Okay, number 23. So this is called active listening, by the way. When you're practicing your listening at home, you should always challenge yourself to go beyond just the questions that you're answering. Okay, that will help you to get more marks. Okay, 23. The second reason for taxes is known as what? Redistribution. Yeah, redistribution. You don't need to capitalize it. So, redistribution. Okay? Redistribution takes money from the rich and gives to the poor. Not redistribution wealth, just redistribution. Okay? If you write redistribution wealth, you'll get it wrong. Okay? All right, so revenue and redistribution. Spelling does have to be correct. If you have the wrong word or the wrong spelling, it's wrong. Okay? All right, good. So, yeah, Robin Hood. Take money from the rich, give it to the poor. If they do that as they're supposed to, then it works well. Unfortunately, greed is the problem. Okay, questions 24, 25, and 26. You had to complete this flowchart based on the third type of tax. So what was the third type of tax? So we have revenue, we have redistribution, and what was the third type of tax? It's mentioned as one of the choices. So what was it? What was the third type of tax? Just the word. Give me the word before we get to the letters here. What was it called? It's not general goods. What's the name? Yeah, Prashita. I'm looking for active listening. I'm not just looking to see if you can figure out a letter or word. I'm looking for active listening. So Prashita, good job. Prashita says it's called repricing. Yeah, very good. Repricing. So the third type of tax is repricing. All right. So here's a product. Number 24, it's allowed to go to the free market. What type of products are allowed to go to the free market? What's the answer here for number 24? It's E, general goods, right? So general goods can just go to the free market. Yeah, your kind of everyday products, okay? Simran, Atwal, good luck on your exam tomorrow. Okay, and then number 25, it's subject to a something. So number 25 is not a general product. It's not something that everybody uses. What is the correct answer to number 25? Sandeep Yadav says alcohol. Yeah. Okay. Now you have to put the actual letter, so not the word. So the correct answer is B, alcohol. Okay. Don't put the word, because if you put the word, you'll get it wrong. So make sure to put the letter. So alcohol is subject to a what type of tax? We just talked about it. That's D. That's the repricing tax, right? That's what we talked about, repricing tax. Okay, bonus question. What other product does the speaker mention which is subject to a repricing tax? So there was one other one that the speaker says. So the speaker says, well, products such as this and alcohol are subject to repricing taxes because they cost healthcare money and they cost society a lot of money. Yeah, tobacco, exactly. So cigarettes, tobacco, right? It's a burden on healthcare system, costs society a lot of money. Tobacco and alcohol, very good. Good that many of you got that. Okay, excellent. All right. So now we got into this kind of interesting multiple choice. So we have 3 different questions here. We have 27, 28, and 29. The order will not matter here. You just have to get the correct 3. What were the correct 3 answers here? What were the 3 correct choices for? Write 3 correct letters A to F next to these questions in any order. Which 3 of the following are arguments given in favor of lower taxes? Okay, that was really important to make sure that you're not focusing on higher, but focusing on lower taxes. Deepak says A, C, and D. That was not the right answer so far. Okay. It's lower taxes. Erkin says BED. So let's go through these step by step. Okay, for this type of question, you should take notes, okay? So it's easier to make money when you're already rich. That was higher taxes, okay? All right. B, businesses will leave the country if taxed too harshly. That was correct, okay? So you want to keep your taxes low so businesses don't leave. So B makes sense, okay? They talk about that clearly. Inheriting money requires no hard work. They don't talk about that, okay? This one they only talk about when they talk about higher taxes. A country must be able to stay competitive in the global market. So if they have lower taxes, then they can be more competitive. They talk about that. So that is a correct answer. Okay. E, a worldwide tax structure can be implemented. No, because the speaker says that there cannot be any kind of global tax structure. It's not possible yet. Okay. But they do mention F, lower taxes, and we have it here. I mean, it's up here, so you should pay attention. Lower taxes, in the end up benefiting everyone, including the poor. Yeah, and that's the argument. That's kind of the argument here, right? So when businesses can survive, they can provide jobs, so it's helpful for the poor as well. So the correct answers here were B, D, and F. So any order, okay? So you could write D, B, and F, or B, D, and F. It doesn't matter. Each one here is worth 1 point. So if you got 2 of them, then you get 2 points. If you got 1 of them, then you got 1 point. If you got all 3, fantastic. So for this type, always listen for the answer and pay attention to this part of the conversation, the lower taxes, okay? Ois says logic will help you here as well. Absolutely, Ois, a lot of logic here, okay? If you think about these correct answers, it makes a lot of sense, all right? So even if you didn't get it right away, don't panic. At the very end of the listening section, you can read this again, carefully go over your answers and make sure that they make sense, okay? The IELTS doesn't give you false information. So if it works this way in the real world, then that's the answers, or those are the answers they're going to give you, okay? Bakrat, no, if you get 1 wrong, it means you lose 1 point here, okay? This is for 3 points because it's 3 questions, 27, 28, 29. So each one is worth 1 point. Okay, and then we had our final question here. So what do the speakers believe about taxes in the future? They will stay relatively the same. They will be lower. They will be higher. What do you think? Honey says the correct answer is C. Let's see if everybody agrees. Yeah, so yeah, the speakers like they'll probably be higher. If I ask you, what do you think will be the future of taxes? I guess many of you would probably say, oh, they'll be higher. Professors would probably say the same as well. Okay. All right. Cool. So count up your marks. What did you get out of 10 for part 3? So how did you do on this part? Now for part 3, you're basically looking for 6 or more. That's your goal. Okay, so you should be aiming for at least 60% in part 3. Okay, if you got more than 60% of them correct, that's fantastic. Now remember, spelling counts. Okay, you have to have the right answers here. Okay, it can't just be close. All right. So if you got more than 6, you're on the right track. If you got 8 or 9 or more, that's fantastic. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's keep going here. Let's get into the final part of listening part 4, which in this case will be something about Isaac Newton. Okay. All right, everyone. So I'm going to play the audio for this as well. Again, don't put your answers into the chat. Wait until the end. We'll go through them together. Okay. So let's get to Isaac Newton. And again, I'm going to hop back to the website here and then start the audio. If it's quiet for you, turn up the volume. Use a headset if possible. Here we go, everyone.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening section 4. You will hear a lecture about English scientist Isaac Newton. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we are going to discuss the life and achievements of the famous English scientist Sir Isaac Newton. Many consider Newton to be the most brilliant man to have ever lived, and many consider his achievements the greatest ever achieved by one man. Newton himself was not so sure, as he famously told his followers, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." While it may be true that he built upon the foundation of scientists before him, he still managed to see further than anyone else had, and to this day his accomplishments stand the test of time. Isaac Newton was born in England in 1643. He studied at the King's School in Grantham from age 12 to 17. After leaving school, his mother tried to make him into a farmer, but that was not going to be sufficient for young Isaac. A year later, in 1661, on the recommendation of one of his teachers at the King's School in Grantham, Newton was admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge, where he eventually became a teacher 6 years later. Newton is perhaps most famous for his work on gravity. A well-known story says that Newton realized the nature of gravity while he was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head. This story may or may not be true, but the underlying principle is valuable. Newton made the astonishing discovery that the same force that makes an apple fall to the earth also makes the earth revolve around the sun and the moon revolve around the earth. Until this time, scientists such as René Descartes and Gottfried Leibniz had believed that the planets moved in some sort of matter, something they called an ether. Newton demonstrated that no such ether was required. Descartes and Leibniz also had little explanation for why apples fall to the earth. Newton's theory accounted for this almost perfectly. During the 20th century, Newton's theory came under attack by the German physicist Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was said to replace Newton's theory of gravitation. This is simply not true. Einstein's theory is a landmark achievement in science, but it did not replace Newton's theory, it merely improved it. To picture this, think of a smooth ball, perhaps a billiard ball. In this experiment of the mind, Newton tells us that the ball is smooth. However, Einstein says that the ball has small imperfections, dents, cuts, and scrapes. Who is right? The answer is both of them. Newton is correct on a macroscopic scale. When we look at the ball from a distance, the ball is smooth. However, Einstein is correct as well. The ball does have imperfections. He is correct on a macroscopic and a microscopic scale. Another of Newton's important achievements is the reflecting telescope. Previously, Galileo had used lenses to construct his telescope, but Newton was the first to use mirrors in a telescope. Today's telescopes are almost all made of mirrors as opposed to lenses, which again speaks to Newton's brilliance. There are a number of reasons the mirror is an improvement over the lens in telescopes. First, mirrors do not warp as easily as lenses do, and by that I mean that lenses can lose their shape in hot or cold weather quite easily. Second, telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their shorter focal distance. Third, telescopes with mirrors can be built far larger because the mirrors themselves can be built larger. An achievement of Newton's that must not be overlooked is Newton's discovery of calculus. Although the discovery was not without controversy, Gottfried Leibniz also claims to have invented calculus at approximately the same time. Nobody really knows the truth, but it is accepted that they discovered it separately. In any case, it was a brilliant achievement by both scientists. Newton died in March 1727, and his body was laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London, in a famous above-ground tomb. He was 84.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, and then at the end of part 4, you actually have some more time to transfer your answers into your booklet in the paper-based exam, and you have some time as well in the computer-based exam to give an extra look at your answers and make sure you didn't make any unwanted mistakes. Okay, everyone, so we had a few different question types here. The first one was this flow chart, and we're going to go through this together as well. Now, here we're introduced with Isaac Newton, and when you have a flow chart, you have to keep pace, especially in part 4 with the information. Now, there are some ways that you can do this easier. Numbers can be especially helpful. So here the speaker said, or the professor said, Isaac Newton was born in 1643. So boom, you know, okay, he's at this point. Now he's going to be talking about these points here. Okay, so you can write 2 words and or a number. Always use numbers whenever possible. And then he says studies at King's School in Grantham from age of, and then the answer for 31. and Mohammed, Uma, Stuti, Rabina all say 12 to 17. Yeah, so for your answer here in your booklet, 31, 12 to 17. So it's 5-6 years that he's studying. You can use the hyphen or you can use a comma as well. Both are okay. All right, don't write the word to because that's given. So 12, 17, that's okay. You don't need to write the word to because they give you that word. Don't repeat words or symbols that are given to you in the questions. It's not necessary. Okay. All right, and then he leaves school, and his mother attempts to make him a something, some kind of a profession. So you just had to catch this one. Nancy Prashita and Build Yourself says farmer. Yeah, so she wanted Isaac to be a farmer. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and science was able to progress nicely. 1661, on the recommendation of his teachers, he's admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge, and he's in Trinity College 6 years after beginning. Newton becomes a something there. So what does he become? He becomes a teacher, yeah, teacher scientist. Very good. So 12, 17, farmer, teacher. Careful with these ones where it's one question and two spaces, so you don't actually put that into two different questions, okay? Be really careful with that. Okay, so then we got into this interesting question here where you had to match the scientist with the correct information. So here you really had to pay attention to who's who and who's doing what, okay? Of course it helps to have some background information about these famous scientists and people in history. We have Galileo of Italy, Newton of England. We have Descartes of France. We have Leibniz of Germany. And we have Einstein of Austria. So it's good to know a little bit about those people, of course. That can help you. But if you're listening carefully, you can certainly figure this out as well. Okay, number 34, believed that planets move in some sort of an ether. Ether would be like some kind of a liquid or a mist or something like that. For 34, who believed that planets move in an ether? Yeah, let's see. Descartes and Leibniz. So Descartes and Leibniz, especially Descartes, came before Newton, came before Einstein. Newton and Einstein created some different ideas around it. The early ideas were that the planets are moving in some kind of like a liquid, like your cereal moving around in milk kind of idea. Okay. And then 35, developed a theory which was thought to replace the earlier theory of gravity. Now, if you're using some logic here, you could figure this one out for number 35, even if you missed it. So 35, I believe Sunny Kunwar is saying it's got to be D. Honey agrees, yeah. Einstein's 20th century. Okay. Newton is 17th century. So if you have this knowledge, it's going to help you. He is the most modern, okay? And the theory of gravity belongs obviously to Newton. So the only person who could replace this is Einstein, because Descartes, Galileo, they all came before Newton, okay? All right. So, C, D. Okay, in the experiment of the mind, it tells us that the billiard ball is smooth. So, not with scrapes and dents and imperfections, but smooth for number 36. Okay, what's the correct answer there? Yeah, that was B. So, that was Newton, right? So Newton's theory says, it's smooth. Okay, but Einstein's theory said that no, it's got some scrapes and some dents if you look at it close, right? And that was explained with that macro and microscopic scale. Okay, number 37, used not mirrors but lenses. Be really careful with these kinds of negatives. So not mirrors but lenses. So who used not mirrors but lenses? Okay, like lenses like in glasses. Yeah, very good, everyone. I see lots of A's coming up. So good job, Jatin. Good job, Andri. Erkin. Yeah, Galileo, right? I think many of us have seen that kind of famous image of Galileo looking through the lens telescope, that golden lens telescope that might be in your mind as well here if you've looked into the world of astronomy. All right. So now we had this kind of short fill in the blank for 2 questions, 38 and 39, talking more about the lenses. You had to move quickly here. So telescopes with lenses cannot be built as large as telescopes with mirrors because lenses tend to something. What happens to these lenses? Something happens there. Krista, good luck on your exam tomorrow. I hope it goes fantastic, okay? Tushar says lose shape. Yeah, lose shape is okay. Okay, watch the spelling. L-O-S-E-S-H-A-P-E. This is loose. This is lose. Lose, like lose your wallet. This is loose, like loose pants. They're going to fall off. Okay? So one way to remember the difference is loose pants. Okay, the loose pants are going to fall off. These are your pants. They're really big on you, and they're going to fall off. Okay, those are your little shoes. Lose, that's your wallet. Okay, so lose, you can imagine that the O there is your wallet, and you're going to lose it. It looks like a Pokemon ball, but anyway, you get the idea. It's a very common spelling mistake for people. I used to make it in the past all the time too, to add that extra O, but be careful. Okay, so don't lose a mark. Lose shape. Okay, or another word that you could have used is warp. They mentioned that as well. So warp. All right. Okay, telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their reduced what? Okay. Because of their what? So why do mirrors take up less space? Because of their reduced, they don't say reduced, they say shorter. Focal distance. Okay. So yeah, focal distance, mirrors, right? That's why even cameras like the DSLR that I'm talking to you through has that mirror, okay? It's reducing the focal distance of the lens, okay? Of course, even better now are the mirrorless, so going digital. But focal distance, yeah, so warp or lose shape and focal distance. All right, one last question. Number 40. Would be like 1 in a cajillion. What's the correct answer? Very good, everyone. Nicely done. Yeah, the correct answer here is B. Okay, I don't think that was too bad as long as you were really paying attention. So they discovered it separately around the same time. Okay, nicely done. How did you do out of 40? What was your score? From 40. Everyone, how did you do? Let's check out your band scores. Okay. Well done, everyone. Rabina got 8. If you were here in yesterday's class, add them all together. If you got 8 or 9 in part 4, that's fantastic. If you go to our website, okay, again, lots of help on our websites, lots and lots of content on our websites. At the bottom of the website, you even have this score calculator at the very bottom. Let me show you this. show you how it works. It's kind of fun. It's really easy to use. You can check this out on your mobile as well. Here you click on that score calculator link, and we just have a basic little calculator programmed with all of the score conversions for the IELTS, for the raw score. So here, if Mohammed Azat got 31, then you put in 31, and we know that Mohammed got a band 7 there. Can everybody see that? Yeah, there you go. Band 7. Sandeep Bilga got 27. 27 is a band 6.5. Here, let me shift this and then make it even bigger there. Okay. Underneath it, that's for the reading section. Okay. All right. Okay. Sundar Singh, for 38 and 39, those fill in the blanks, you really just have to follow with the information, and it's really important to review the sentences with the filling blanks before you hear the answer, okay? Begzad Azamov says 35. 35, Begzad, is a band 8. Okay, I think it's still on screen there, kind of. Yeah, let me shift it like that. Okay, you can check that out on our website. Okay, so check out those score conversions. Thank you so much, everyone. That was really cool of you to hang out with me yesterday and today. Tomorrow we have speaking part 3 questions practice with feedback in the live class. And members, we have a Q&A question and answer session before that. Of course, to get all of our materials and to really practice, spend a couple dollars. It's worth it, especially since IELTS is so expensive. Might as well get the best score possible. aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. I'll be back tomorrow. Keep up the good practice. Have a safe and hopefully somewhat restful weekend as well. Thank you so much for your participation. I will catch you all in about 23 hours. I'm Adrian, signing out from Budapest for now. Much love to all of you. Bye.